Hi, this is Damon Pistolka, host of The Faces of Business, where I talk with interesting people, sharing life and business experiences to entertain, engage, build community, and provide information to help others succeed. If you're interested in learning more about one of our guests or how we are helping business owners generate wealth and build businesses they can sell or succeed at Exit Your Way, you can find more information on our website, exityourway.com, or by contacting me directly, Damon at exityourway.com. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I am Damon Pistolka, and boy, are we going to have a lot of fun today, because with me today, I've got Nate Crandall and Steve Galley, and we're going to be talking about stop parenting and start coaching. And we're going to understand why some parents may want to take a coaching approach instead of the traditional parent approach with those, if you're a parent of a performer. And these guys know what they're talking about. So Nate, Steve, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Damon.
This is awesome. Well, we were in the backstage in the green room talking, and I got it going, and they got it going, and we were a few minutes late, but I apologize if anyone's been out there and wondering where we're at. And if you left already, you can always come back and check it later. But guys, I'm excited to have you on today, because what we are going to be talking about, I think, is so incredibly important, because, so many parents today. And I was just talking with one of my clients this week. He's going to have a daughter in select soccer and a son that's in select lacrosse. And these kids are not very old, these are like 10, 12-year-old kids. And the proliferation of the select sports and club sports and kids playing sports younger and more often throughout, I think, creates a lot of tension between parents and children. And I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about, give us some other ideas and maybe some alternative thoughts in the whole process. So let's start out like we normally do. Nate, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and kind of how you got into coaching beyond what you've done in schools and teams and everything else.
So both of my parents are educators. So I grew up around the classroom environment. I helped my mom a ton in her classroom as I was going to school. And that kind of propelled me down the road of teaching. But when I was about 19, I graduated from high school, and I connected with my high school basketball coach, and we got talking, and I got on the staff with him. And so I started coaching sports as well as pursuing the teaching and education. And so I got into the coaching part, the teaching part, and I ran through that for about 13 years, teaching biology, coaching basketball, doing all those things. And then I started to get into psychology, and I went back and I got my master's in psychology, and I was coaching golf and basketball and doing all those things at the same time. And as I got further and further into the psychology, it really changed my coaching approach. And when it changed my coaching approach, I noticed it changed my parenting approach. And by this time, my kids were all a little bit older, and I realized with my youngest, I'm a way better parent when I'm coaching my daughter than I am when I'm trying to be a parent. And that was really, that's kind of where I ended up with this is, screwing up a whole bunch with my older kids, and then kind of starting to figure a few things out by applying some of the coaching principles instead of, just the parenting stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up here.
Yeah. So you apologize to your older kids that you just
profusely and frequently. I still do.
Yeah.
That reminds me. I had a lunch meeting with my youngest daughter, who's a young adult, yesterday, and I apologized to her for being a poor parent, and asked for permission to do a reset. And we had a great coaching session. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm writing down a couple notes there. I need to do that. So Steve, tell us about give us your background too. So we've got it from Nate. Let's hear it from you.
Well, I'm the son of an unhappy lawyer, and I knew at age 15 that my dream career was to be a high school teacher and coach, and that was because of my high school basketball coach. He coached me in football my sophomore year and in basketball my sophomore through senior year. And him, along with my dad, they were the two best coaches I had as a young person. And that was just my dream career. I just finished it after 32 years. And so it's, through a weird kind of series of events. Nate is one of my former assistant coaches when I was still coaching basketball. And through COVID, and we could list about 15 to 20 other so-called coincidences that have happened. It's brought us to the point where we have one-on-one high performance coaching practices that we do, and create, transform, and become really, I think, started last fall. About this time last year, probably on a long distance run somewhere. And it's just gradually grown. And I don't know, we just learn something new every day about the entrepreneurial side of things. And really what we love is creating the content and we're creating courses and we're starting the podcast. And we really, basically we want to help thousands of parents and in turn help their teens. For example, like your clients' children who they're joining these club teams. And I can promise you there's going to be some tension. There's going to be some challenges as they navigate that road. And we're trying to address those and help people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And we'll get more into some of the things that you're seeing, because I'm sure you guys have tons of great examples, because there are definitely challenges in that. So as you guys, you came together, did coaching these parents, how did that idea just evolve? Did where did that come from?
So our relationship started back in about 2008 when he brought me on as an assistant coach. And I really looked up to him because I was trying to be a head coach at the time. And I learned a lot from him. But he was running. And so that was kind of the impetus that got me running. Mm-hmm. And a little bit later on, when I became a head coach, he would share stuff with me that would kind of inspire me to try to be a better coach. Well, that was when I got into doing some of the executive coaching, life coaching, that kind of stuff, the one-on-one high performance coaching. And then I took that back to him, and Steve was actually one of my clients. Mm-hmm. And he was so amazing at it that now he's actually turned himself into a better life coach than I've ever been. And it's been really fun to watch his growth. So as we kind of did that back and forth, mutually beneficial relationship, we got to the point where, Steve retired from teaching, retired from coaching, and now he was looking for the next thing that he's going to do to make a difference. And he loved working with kids. He loved working with their parents. And so we got talking about what he's going to do, this whole life coaching thing, how Steve had, gotten into that and gotten so great at it. And we started to hatch this idea of, we should work together to take this message to the people that are really going to need it. And that's the parents of these kids, because we've been around and we have over 50 years of combined experience in coaching at the high school level. And so we've seen pretty much everything when it comes to parent-child interactions, from the really good ones to the graphically bad ones. And all of them could benefit from tweaking the approach a little bit to really helping their kids feel empowered and encouraged and equipped to be better as performers. And so that's kind of where we landed. And so we started messing around with this idea, and we came up with the idea of Create, Transform, Become, to share some online courses, do some great things that are specifically designed to help develop the mindset in both the parents and the teens to really excel and not compromise their relationships in the process. So excellence is something that they could go after, but the relationship was not something that got lost.
Yeah. So you guys are doing things both for parents and their children.
Yeah. And like I actually do, Steve only has one client that's younger, but the majority of my clients are actually teens that I do my coaching stuff with.
Okay. And Nate is, I mean, this is his zone of genius. So I kind of hitch my trailer to this, even though I've had lots of experience with teens when I was coaching them. Mm-hmm. He actually has a master's in adolescent psychology, and he's a total geek when it comes to
and I'm proud of it.
Yeah. How can I help this teenager in this situation? The reason why we're focusing so much on the parents is the parents are they're going to be the ones that buy our courses. And it's really difficult to get just to the teens unless you're in your local area. And so we are going to, and the parents, to be honest, when we talk with parents, and we do this all the time, and they all see the problem. Why is she not happy? They won the game. Why is she so unhappy that she's not playing as much? She's on this great team. They don't know the right things to say after games, before games, before tryouts, and I think Nate and I we've both said all of the wrong things. with our own kids, with our teams. So we have those failures that help us to get better. We also have watched what parents, what they say, what they do, and in gymnasiums, on courts, on fields. And when we talk to parents, they actually are asking for help. So not all parents want the help, but we're going to go try to find those parents that want help. And it's not that we have all the answers or every answer, but we definitely, well, this guy for sure, he's a coaching master. He will make you think. He will make parents think, mm-hmm. Which is part of the reason for the name of our podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. The Stop Parenting and Start Coaching. I mean, it really is. It really does make you think about this. And let's just talk a little bit about the differences that there are when you've got a child that's a high performer in sports compared to if you got a child that's going to school, could be really good in academics, but may not have that demand that an activity like a football, a basketball, a lacrosse, whatever the sport is, or even there's some other, I mean, it could be chess club. It doesn't matter. It takes a lot of this kind of stuff is the same thing. I don't want to leave any of that out, but there's just talk about some of the differences that these parents have to deal with that just make it challenging.
The biggest one is the pressure to perform, because all students feel the pressure to perform in the classroom. But when you go to the performer route as well, and this is true across the board, I mean, you got marching band kids that are spending an extra 20 to 40 hours a week after school practicing their routines. And that creates pressure. The athletes, it's pressure. And the pressure it's real to the kid. And we can all look at, as adults, we look at that and, there's no big deal. We'll love you no matter what. But they feel it. And it's that pressure that creates the fractures. It's almost like when a car window gets hit by a rock, you've got that shatter point that it creates. And that pressure is often the shatter point. And so it creates that, and then it ripples out from that. And the pressure can show up in, depression. It can show up in procrastination, perfectionism, in so many different anxieties, another big one that you see a lot. And so that pressure gets, popping up all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point, because that pressure is yeah. And the pressure, I mean, because it's hard for both the parents and the children, correct?
Yes. And the parents, this is what I wish kids would understand more than anything else. Their parents love them. Absolutely. Like, they can't even comprehend how much their parents love them. And so anything that the parents are doing is almost always coming from a place of, we love you and we want to see you be successful.
Yeah.
But what the kids end up picking out of that is often more pressure, because they love their parents. And so they want to perform for their parents. And that creates a unique kind of pressure, because performing for the person that you love more than anybody else, and you want to be proud of you, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And so just that dynamic there, you throw coaches out, you throw college scholarships out the window, just the desire that the kids have to perform at high levels for their parents, who they know love them, they know care about them, and they know they're supporting them financially, showing up for all the games.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that pressure actually comes from a place where the parents are driven by love. The kids are driven by this desire to please their parents, and they love them. And so they want to show them that they're successful. And somehow that turns into everybody getting depressed and yelling at each other.
Yeah. 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 No. Yeah. I've been there. So I'm going to turn up a little bit, because my son could have played college baseball if he wanted to. And he chose to go to school, which is awesome. But I can remember there were times when he, the work that goes into it. But I can remember, now that you're saying that, the experience of him coming off the field and being really disappointed that he didn't do like he wanted to. And he was a pitcher. And it was like, there's two ways you can deal with it. And I think you talk about coming from a place of love. I learned fairly quickly that it really helped to diffuse the situation when I said, you know what, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens on the field, I love you.
Awesome.
And the thing that we would focus on was, and I saw this in the club that he was at, because it was really good. It says, the games aren't won on the field as much as they are for your preparation for doing what you're doing. And that's, and that was, I was fortunate to have that, but I imagine you got to run into people that just don't understand the difficulty in the sports, the pressure from the pressure side of it. And they expect more than is really appropriate at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and,
it gets very, very complex, very, very fast. You start throwing in expectations, unrealistic or even realistic expectations. And then that just, it's part of that fracture web that just spreads out.
So what are some of the most positive things that you've seen when you're working with these parents that they can do to, help their children in the right way?
This is actually why we started the podcast, because we want to throw that stuff out there. And so I appreciate you asking. And as the podcast gets going, you're going to see more and more of these throughout each episode. But the first one, we really kind of just jump in with that interaction that you have after a competition, and some of the great things that help people to have better interactions after one. And once a competition's done, the result actually doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And that's weird to think. And that this is part of where the reimagining process comes in. But at that point, there's nothing prescriptive that I could say as a parent that can make them feel better, or that, they're really going to digest. And so the focus should be on the athlete, asking them questions. What do you feel you did well today? Like, that's a powerful question, and it lets them do all the talking. And then as a parent, I can vibe off of that. Like, if they're really down, they're like, I didn't do anything well today. Was that totally true? And you just invite them to get into that. And if they double down and say, yeah, I didn't do anything, well, how come you feel that way?
Yeah.
Is there something you feel you could have done better in advance so you could feel like you played better? And that's the real difference in the parenting and coaching approach. Is often parenting falls into we want to tell them what to do. We want to fix it all right now. Whereas the coaching approach is more of we invite them into a discussion and help them to create solutions on their own. And teens need that. Like, they need to have that skill set where they can generate solutions on their own. And as a parent, we're in a unique position where if we ask questions, and they don't even have to be the right questions, as long as the questions are coming from a place of, I just want to hear more about what went on. We talk about how one of the greatest phrases you can actually say is just tell me more. If you don't know what question to ask, and the kid's like, oh man, I was awful out there today. Oh, tell me more.
Yeah.
And then just let the kid talk. And they get to the point where they're like, yeah, my dad just wants to hear what I have on my mind. And then if the kid asks for specific help, now you're coming from a place where you're invited in and your help is being wanted instead of trying to force it on them.
Yeah.
So that's
Steve,
that's one big one right off.
Yeah. So Steve, did you ever think when you were coaching that you would turn around and do it this way and coach the parents?
Well, so I grew up with all authoritarian coaches, old school guys that made you cry.
Yeah.
But not a happy cry.
Yeah.
Running was punishment. Get on the line, more sprints. And I was fine with it. I was okay with it. It's not a great approach nowadays. It's not a good approach with kids. Not that there can't be some discipline, rules, boundaries, but no, it's funny you asked that question, Damon, because when we were recording an episode the other day, I was actually I didn't tell Nate this, but I was kind of pinching myself. I said, this is a really good shift. This is a really good shift for me. And that it has to be a really good shift for a lot of parents.
No doubt.
To go from, before we got on the air, we were talking about lawyers, right? That was kind of depressing, but we were talking about lawyers, and we want parents to get out of the consultant mode. There is a time for that, but when it comes to before a performance, after a performance, how many dads, and I'm going to pick on the dads more than the moms, but how many dads and a few moms want to go in and be a consultant? You could have, you should have. It's a dead end road. It is a dead end road, and you can keep trying it. I tried it. Now, in fairness, there were times where I was coach and dad. I have two sons, and I coached them both through high school. That was both rewarding and challenging. But the consultant mode, not good. A coaching mode where you lead with curiosity. That is a great word to.
That is.
Lead with some curiosity instead of I've got a list of 5 things that you should have done, and you really should listen to me. I know the game just finished, but you really should listen to me, because if you fix these 5 things, you'll be good next time.
Yeah. That's gotta be a lot different. We have Liz Jones on here from the UK, and I believe Liz was a very, very good fencer, if I remember right. Something crazy good at one of these sports, but so she understands some of this, obviously. But I think that is interesting. It's got to be really interesting for you now that you're coming around and helping parents, because let's face it, there's no book that you go, okay, here's my parenting book and I'm opening it up and doing this right. We're all winging it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, my mother went to school she's got her doctorate in education and all this kind of junk and psychology, all this, and we still are winging it. So what do you think is the most exciting for you guys to be doing that? To be doing this now? What's the thing that is most exciting for you?
The thing that's most exciting for me is the difference that it can make for the kids.
Yeah.
If a kid gets a parent that they feel like genuinely cares about them, regardless of their performance, and that relationship can get great, that's when you see people really find joy and engagement and confidence and excitement with their life, is when they feel like they're loved and supported no matter what. And it frees them up to chase their dreams. Like Liz said, that the discipline and the boundaries are necessary. If you have a great relationship with your kids, how much easier is it to have conversations about discipline and boundary? And then once the kids understand that they're coming from a place of love with those, now they start to live within it and realize how much freedom you actually get when you live within discipline and boundaries.
Yeah.
That's exciting to me. I'm pumped.
There's two things that get me real excited about this. Number one is the actual entrepreneurial journey that we're on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's exciting to me to try to create something that just started from an idea on a run, and to see where we're at. And we're getting help. We don't know what we're doing when it comes to that stuff, but we're getting really good help from lots of really good people. And that makes it fun, because then we can spend time on the creation part. The second part is the same as Nate. If we can help parents, like I got into high school coaching because of my high school coach, because of the impact he had on me personally.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do the same. Well, I don't want to coach basketball anymore for a multitude of reasons. But this is exciting to me because in my son calls this my encore career.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got a lot of years, and we can create a lot of good things for parents
and help a lot of people
that will then help a lot of teens. And with the way that we can create online courses, we can do virtual coaching. It's really cool to know that we can actually have a huge impact outside of our local areas, which is that's what we've done in our teaching and coaching careers. But now we could help the parents. We could help the dad of baseball players in Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
We can help the mom. We can help the single mom who's trying to deal with her daughter who's really good at lacrosse, but could use some help with this. And we can provide easy, pretty affordable ways for people to do this. It's really exciting for us.
Yeah. Well, I just think back to the multitudes. I started similar to you guys, not professionally. I started coaching baseball when I was 18 or 19. And I coached up until my son quit playing a few years ago. And the parent interactions is what I'm focusing on now. Is there are so many parents that we don't know what to do, and me either. And then that whole interaction around the game, during the games, and in practice, this whole kind of thing, that the stuff that you guys can create is got to be, it's got to really make you feel good, because it's just not knowing is the biggest thing for a lot of parents.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, there's no handbook out here. And when it comes to your children doing something like whatever it is, chess or sports or band, as you said, or and those kind of things. There are a lot of different things that you can help them with, I'd imagine, that are really going to help them set their children up better.
Damon, you know what our challenge is? This is more my challenge, is keeping Nate from trying to deliver the 18,000 ideas in his head in one podcast episode. Yeah.
Yes.
I told him, we have time. We're gonna do dozens. We're gonna do lots of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And breaking it down into the small pieces is a really big thing. And then allowing people the opportunity, the methods to be able to do it, digest it slowly and more than once, to keep doing it. Because I just think and I can see it in your guys, in your voices and your faces when you look at the excitement around this, and especially as you were talking, Steve, it's creating this next generation of kids that are better equipped, because it makes a difference in their lives.
I think there's just an assumption out there that because you're a parent, you know what to do. And I think we have a little line that we use in our podcast, and we haven't mentioned it yet. And we truly believe this. Parenting is the hardest job, and there's not a close second.
Yeah.
We really believe that. And so if a parent can open their mind and be willing to listen and try a different approach, we feel like the skills, techniques, the discipline that we share, we know they work because we've seen them work, and Nate especially has used them in his one-on-one practice with teens. Mm-hmm. And if people can just break through some of that old mindset, limiting belief that this is the way you do it, and I'm the dad, you're the kid, so just listen to me. I mean, he could tell you about the middle school, the junior high to high school transition. And when they get to high school, that just doesn't work very well anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was tempting him there to see if he was gonna talk about that.
He tells me I go crazy with it. I like turn it into a PhD doctoral course, and so I'm on a short leash.
But it's you guys are creating this content that's going to help parents, look at the way they're parenting their high performers and really help them be a more productive part of it, which I think is, because, man, I want to ask this question. How many times have you seen high performers, talented kids in whatever, again, go off the deep end the wrong way because they didn't know how to deal with it, their parents didn't, or weren't dealing with it right, or those kind of things?
No. Well, it happens too much. And it's a response to the pressure. The pressure hurts, it causes pain, and the most convenient way to do it is to numb it. And for kids, that with social media and with all the availability of all these things, that numbing is usually not done in a productive way.
Yeah. And you think about it and you wonder, and you hope that what you're doing will allow a few of those kids, those parents, first of all, to understand how they can help their kids better. That will allow those kids at least to make a productive choice that says, maybe I'm not going to be the next, baseball pro or riding champion, whatever it is, but I got other things I'm going to do that are going to be productive and fun.
Well, and the real fun part of it is if the parents get it right, they actually turn the ownership of that athletic journey or the performer's journey to the performer themselves. And so now the athlete becomes the deciding force. And if the athlete says, I want to be the best, I want to do that, and it's their decision, and now the parent becomes somebody that equips them and encourages them and empowers them on that journey, that's fun.
Yeah.
And who knows how good they can be if they make the conscious choice to own their own journey instead of thinking, oh, I'm just doing this because my dad wants me or my mom wants me to. When they own that, that's when the ceiling just blows off.
Yeah.
And who knows how good they could be.
Yeah. 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 I was lucky enough to see that with my son. He had 3 guys now off of the team he played with in high school that are in the MLB.
Wow.
And you watch, and the parents did a pretty good job of that. The kids weren't in it because the parents wanted to. Granted, the parents loved it that their kids were in there, but at the end of the day, when those kids, if they can decide that, you're right. I've seen it, and it's incredible to watch those kids, because the kids are driving the game. Then,
yeah,
they're driving the car. They're deciding what direction they're going, and then it really is up to them and how they can develop their abilities.
And that's why we call it the coaching approach. That's why it's stop parenting and start coaching, because a good coach does that for their players.
Yeah.
A good coach puts their players out there with correct principles and then lets them go and create and make plays and do it. And the players just own it and they play at higher levels. And we've figured, why can't parents do that with their kids?
Yeah.
Take that same coaching approach where you're just equipping, encouraging, and empowering your kids. And then you just step back and watch the fun. Watch what they create.
Yeah.
No, Damon, I had I can't remember who told me this, but it was a coach. And he said more teams and players are destroyed at dinner tables and locker rooms than they ever are on the court.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much truth there is to that, but things that parents say and things that the players say to each other in the locker room has a huge impact. We tend to focus only on what's happening on the court, and there's no question that coaches can build or destroy on the court as well. But if we could help dinner table talk to where it's going to, as Nate said, we're going to equip the kids, we're going to empower the kids, and they can in turn do that with their teammates. Think about how many more, happy players, meaningful experiences would take place. And I think kids would perform at higher levels too. They would get closer to closing the gap on their potential.
Yeah. Well, and we haven't talked about it much. When you equip your children like this, they're better equipped for life.
Yes.
Yep. And
for sure, this goes way beyond a great drill team performance or a region trophy, or in fact, our first course that we're just finishing up really goes into that. It's called the scoreboard. And I'm not going to tell you anything more about it, but
that's awesome. That's awesome, because it does. I mean, that's the thing is the techniques that you guys are talking about here, and applying them to high performing children and the parenting and helping the parents become more coaches, equips those children to work through adversity themselves better and find their way. I mean, from when you see this and you look at it, I don't care. You can go out and look at the most famous athletes that you see, or the, someone that was a good athlete. They seem to be able to figure out things in life. They solve problems. They do, it may not be the best solution, but they'll find solutions, and you look at some of these people that have been able to do really some incredible things beyond the sports field. I think, a testament to them, some of the lessons they learned on the fields. Yeah.
Well, that's the real definition of confidence, isn't it? Just believing that you'll find a way to work things out.
Yeah.
And like, if you have real confidence, you can get thrown in a weird situation and you just know that, even though crap's going on and this is all weird, I can find a way to work this out.
Yeah.
And the performance arena is a perfect place to develop that confidence. And then it spills over from there. And as parents and as coaches, that should be our end game, is to equip these kids with that knowledge that, no matter what happens, I can find a way to work this out.
Yeah. That's really good advice there. So you guys your podcast, you've been working on your podcast. When are you going to start releasing episodes on your podcast?
You know what? We're just having so much fun making them. We're just sitting on a bank of them.
We are. Well, I will tell you, we're in it for the long game.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do this because we like it. Even if nobody else liked it, we don't even care. We love what we're doing. But we are planning on, we're recording multiple episodes and stacking them so that we can release one per week without any stress or worry. So right now we're spending this fall. I don't know if there's a better word than stacking them. So that when we do release them, and it may be the same time we release our first course, is we may be doing that at the same time.
Very cool.
One of our blessings is that this is it's a side hustle. It's a big side hustle for us. Mm-hmm. But we actually have food to eat. So so we don't
you're not in a timeline. You can do it. You can do it like you want.
But I don't. Yeah. So that sometimes is a little bit of a curse because, and we have to coach ourselves on this, is not waiting for it to be perfect. And we have this time to, but I will say this, every time we get faster at everything we're doing.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Whether it's creating a course, podcasting, we're getting better and faster at all of that stuff. But those things can't keep up with our idea list. Our idea list is really long, Damon.
Good.
It's really.
Every time we record one episode, we end up with 10 to 20 more ideas for another one. So it's a blast.
That's
I think
great.
What Steve is asking though would you like us to commit to a date?
Well, I'm just curious. So people listening and they're going, "Oh God, this is really neat. I'd like to know when it's going to start coming out."
We're close, and I really think that I still teach, so I still have the full-time job. So I'm kind of the anchor holding us back when it comes to really kicking it up a notch on that. But I really think that by the time we get to the end of the month, we can have stuff that's available and ready.
Yeah.
Like we've done such a good job of advancing just little pieces, and it's going to let us really hit the ground running, which is what we wanted to do. That's why we've been, playing the long game so far, is we really want to make sure that when we put something out, we don't just put out one episode and then nothing for a month. We want to put one out and then put a second one out, and then just so people know that each week we can tune in and get something good that's going to make us think.
If somebody was really jazzed and wanted us to notify them, right now they could just simply send us an email to create, transform, become. I know it's a long one, but we actually want you to type out those words because they're 3 pretty awesome words.
Yeah.
So create, transform, become @Gmail. If they wanted to do that, we would definitely give them a personal invite to when we do start.
Yeah, because I think this is one of those things that when you start releasing episodes, it's going to be fun to see and help get the word out, because this is something that's going to help a lot of people, and it's going to be cool for them to see it. And I can understand how the process goes, but I'll tell you, once you, like you said, once you start going, the podcasting gets easier, the writing becomes easier, your courses will become easier, and pretty soon you'll be going, oh, we should probably make another 10 podcasts, and it's okay. Let's take Saturday afternoon and make them.
Well, we do Saturday morning.
There you go. There you go.
I go and run 20 miles and then we go do the podcast.
Yeah. So let's back up to that a little bit, because you guys are saying, you're talking about running a little bit. You guys aren't just like runners. You're like runners.
No.
So Steve, how many marathons have you done?
It's probably 10, and probably that's not real. I mean, if you talk to crazy runners, like they do a lot more than that. I've done a lot of half marathons.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of triathlons. I've done 2 Ironman.
Yeah.
I'm done with those. He's running he's training for Boston.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
And he's running in the Chicago Marathon in 12 days.
12 days.
All right.
Yeah. I'll be
That's
pounding
awesome.
the streets of Chicago, and it's going to be a blast.
So how many marathons have you done? How many marathons have you done some more?
This will be number 7.
Nice.
And so I'm 26 halves and 7 fulls, 7 on after Chicago.
What's the hardest part about running marathons, guys?
Finding the time to train.
Yeah.
It's almost a full-time job, because you got to eat right. You've got to, and that doesn't mean like diet. I mean, sometimes you got to eat more. Sometimes you got to eat less. Mm-hmm. You got to get plenty of sleep to make sure your body's recovering. You got to do the strength training that goes along with it. And then, you got runs of 10, 12, 14, 16, 20, 22 miles. And that takes time.
Yeah.
This guy, he's a Superman. I mean, one-on-one coaching practice, this thing we've got going, family, and then the whole
teaching and coaching,
full-time teaching gig, and then the whole marathon training.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he smiles all the time.
Well, you know what? If you're busy, you're busy. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So as you guys go forward with this, if you look down the road a year, what do you guys, where do you hope you're at in a year with this?
It's making a difference for thousands of people.
Nice.
Just, people are able to easily pick up the stuff, and whether they connect directly with us or not, they can watch one of our courses, and it's going to make a difference in the way they parent their kids. And, if they really like what we're talking about and they're following us and they want to do more, we've got the one-on-one coaching stuff that we do, where we really do a deep dive into not just the parenting, but really maximizing your joy and engagement and confidence in life. Because that's what we're after. So, a year down the road, I would love to see both of us just have a full set of clients that we're working with one-on-one, continuing to put out life-changing podcasts and course content that help parents and help teens to just be their best and get the most out of life.
Boom. That's just a mic drop moment right there.
I could pick it up.
It is. It's just boom. That's done. It's a wrap. Because it's cool what you guys are doing. I mean, I don't know if I get so jacked up about it, because I was in it a long time. I was the president at a baseball club with 150, 200 kids in it for 7-8 years. I saw this on the field all the time. I know how hard it is from being one of those parents, first of all, and seeing it as a coach for as many years as I did, and how you guys are helping parents just get an idea of what the heck we should do. And then that could help their kids, because their kids, like you said before, those parents love those kids more than they realize and want them to be their best more than they even realize. And you're equipping them to be able to do that. And I just think it's awesome.
And I think it's awesome. I would say too, Damon, is we in both our approach to the podcast and our approach to our courses, we are focusing on practical, applicable information strategies and we're purposely keeping our podcast short. It's going to be very short, and our courses are actually very short. And we're not going to try to shove a 328-page workbook and a 17-module course when we could give a parent something that they could go use tonight with their son or daughter, and they're not overwhelmed by just all of this information just for the sake of, distributing information. So we hope, and we'll find out as we get feedback. We'll obviously this will be a learning experience for us, but we hope that people will be attracted to our content because it's easy to understand and it's quick. You can implement it quickly.
Nice.
Average commute time's 26 minutes. Our podcasts are going to be short enough that you could listen to the entire podcast on your trip to work and then catch another episode on the way home.
There you go. All right. Well, Nate, Steve, it's been awesome. I was looking so forward to this and talking to you guys about this because, man, what you guys are doing there at Create, Transform, Become, and with your podcast, Stop Parenting and Start Coaching, I'm really excited to see how you can help parents and high performers just, like you said, enjoy life better and have more fun. So thanks for being here today, guys. Thanks everyone else for listening.
Thanks for having us.
And you bet, guys, if people want to reach out, just hang on for a minute after we're done here. But if people want to reach out to you guys, it is create, transform, become @gmail.com, correct? Very good. Well, look forward to what you guys are doing in the future. And thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back again later this week with another episode of The Faces of Business. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.